They'll be watching this after Easter.
Was supposed to tell them last time. Oh my God, I had forgotten. Mama was supposed to tell them last time.
So you should hope they had a very good Good Friday and Easter
Plus, they'll cut that out.
Sunday.
Yeah. Okay, as you watch this, wait.
Mama, don't cut this out.
Welcome back to the Unfiltered Truths, where we dive deep into the messy, awkward, hilarious, and sometimes the heartbreaking truths of life. Your hosts today are Sandra, the medical scientist, and Wilfred, the software engineer. Wilfred, it's a Friday. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling the same way I feel every day.
Is there a day that is different from the other?
No, not really.
Aww.
Kind of all the same to me.
Oh, you don't have like highs, lows, and moderate?
They do happen, but I don't take note of the day.
Aww. Today I'm very happy. I'm very excited. Like this entire week, I'm very excited. I've been running off my hospital bed and going to do aerobics. Yeah, so I am very happy. I feel energized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, what are we doing today?
Communication.
What is communication?
In which context?
You can tell us all the context that you know of.
We are focusing on relationships this time.
Oh, okay.
In that context, it's my take is a bit controversial because I believe men and women are different, so we communicate differently. And the easiest way I would try to explain that would be that women like to talk,
Yeah.
but men like
The solution.
Yeah.
Problem solvers, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Women talk, men like to problem solve and stuff like that. So when it's time for us to communicate, we'd much prefer to talk as we are doing some kind of activity. So we could be playing pool, we could be playing FIFA, we could be watching football. And in doing that, we communicate our feelings, we communicate our grievances. But women would like just gather around, maybe go for brunch, things like that, and they all get just for them it's more of the context, how they are feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
But for us, we like to communicate information, content.
Yeah, like you want facts.
To gather facts. So we all communicate, but it's different. That's how I see it.
Is there a point where guys ever communicate their feelings?
Ever communicate?
Yeah, like how they're feeling in the moment. Like the way you said, women speak feelings and how they're feeling in that moment. Is there a point where guys ever do that?
Yeah, nowadays men have been conditioned to want to do that on a regular basis. So you'll find men crying, talk about their feelings on social media. So, but to me, that's the feminine way to communicate, because men don't communicate like that.
But who wrote that blueprint? Like,
No, it's innate. Like, that's not how we communicate. But because we are in a feminine world, men are convinced that that's the proper way to communicate, and that's where words like vulnerability come in, like be vulnerable with your woman, things like that.
Well, I think communication is not like very special. Like, I send a message, it should like the way you receive it and perceive it should be the same way I intended to put it out there.
But when you go to that kind of media, like it's very hard to convey how one is feeling at the moment via text, digital means, email, text, those things. So usually, unless you know someone deeply, like very intimately, usually move those nuances. Like when someone says this, you can imagine them speaking that way. So at that level, it's kind of easier, but usually it's not a very good mode of communication, sending things via text because people might misinterpret what you're trying to say because they're feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
Then they read, they go full stop, things like that. You're punctuating your words like something is wrong. Yeah, there are no emojis.
Those care moments. Have you ever been triggered by those? You send someone you send them like a long text and something, and then
Yes.
they're like, "Okay." I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the world? Like, how much time do you need to write? Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I say it's not a very good mode of communication.
Yeah.
Unless you really know someone.
I always hear, okay, like people always say, if your woman said we need to talk, why is it always perceived as war zone, battlefield? Like,
Something negative, something
Yeah.
to worry about.
yeah, like why do you think so?
Um,
Because genuinely, I may genuinely mean we just need to talk. Like nothing, no hard feelings, no nothing involved, you know. But I don't know why in relationships that the statement "we need to talk" feels like a war zone.
I haven't had that experience. I only know of the term because I watch so many movies.
Yeah.
So usually when a woman says we need to talk, they kind of have something to express that will either piss the man off or maybe disappoint them. So it's very hard to. I have no experience about that one.
No, you could speak like generally, best of the movies or your buddies or maybe social media. Like, why do you think it's like war zone? Because for me, honestly, I do not think that should be grounds for feeling like, oh my God, what have I done this time? I feel like it should be an okay thing, unless if a person says there's something that happened, so we need to talk. Okay, for me, maybe that's how I be thinking, but I don't think it should be ground to like war zone. And then, because usually find when a woman tells a man we need to talk, he'll come with either fight or flight, like he'll come in his fight armor.
He will be defensive.
Yeah.
I think it's viewed that way because in these modern relationships, the woman is usually the one who is leading the relationship. So when the woman says, we need to talk, the man is like, there's something I did wrong, something is going to happen. So I think the dread, the fear comes from knowing you're not in control of this relationship. So when the girl eventually says we need to talk, the only thing you're going to think about is going to be negative because you don't know where this is going to go from here. Like, Tomani, is she going to break up with me? Yeah, so I think that's why modern relationships are led by the women, not
But-
the men.
Do you think in the 80s times, okay, for lack of a proper word, like back in that times, do you think that used to happen? Like that we need to talk?
No, because first of all, women never spoke.
No.
So there's no way she could come and tell the husband, we need to talk. And all kinds of things. And they were not raised to have that kind of confidence, entitlement. Like, there's no way you could come and it's like me going to my dad and telling my dad, we need to talk. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that was back then. But now, with all this fempowerment, the feminism, like, women are so entitled to the point that, they have the guts, the courage to tell a man that we need to talk. And usually it's negative, like, you did something. I'm going to punish you for that thing that you did.
But I still think it's a genuine statement because oftentimes, if I must let you know that there's something attached to it, like, okay, for me, I'm just cautious to use that phrase, we need to talk. So if I say we need to talk, like I usually want to add some context to it because I know it's like a phrase for war zone. Because I remember one time I texted someone and I'm like, hey, what's up? Do you have a minute? We need to talk, like, and then the way the response I got was like, yo, hold up. You must not, you may be in a bad headspace and maybe it's a wrong timing, but what I meant by this is 1, 2, 3. So from that time is when I realized, okay, I think there's something attached to this phrase that I still just don't understand.
Yeah, there's
So I try to use it cautiously, but honestly, I meant well. Like, I was coming from a very peaceful place, and what I wanted to talk about was something very beneficial to the both of us. So Yeah, I still don't understand why it's like grounds for ozone.
Yeah, we've been conditioned to think
That
it's
it's
a very
grounds for
negative,
for negative. Maybe we need to just change the narrative and maybe
to change.
advocate for when you use it, maybe just I don't know, add some context to it, flesh to make it to bring out what you exactly meant, because now people attach it to negativity.
The only way to fix that is to fix the men in today's society.
Yeah. The men need to be up to speed because, in these times and in these times, it's like there's a common ground for everyone to speak. Like there's freedom of speech from both parties. And I think we just need to understand how people talk. And yeah. So why do you think men and women in relationships usually clash? Like there's that clashing of this person doesn't understand you when a woman comes and talks and they're like, she's dramatic, she's emotional. Or when the guy comes and talks and the woman is like, he's not hearing me, he's not listening. Why do you think there's that backlash?
I boil it down to a lack of understanding for both the female and the male nature, because we are fundamentally different on all levels. Yes, we are all human beings.
Yeah.
But she's a woman, I'm a man. Our biology is different, and our minds, our brains are different. Actually, I read a study, and the findings were that the female brain is wired differently from a male's brain. And they said due to the neuro, what do they call them? Neural pathways, something like that. They said because of how the female brain is wired, they are more in tune with social settings.
Yeah.
And then the male was, because of how our brains are wired, we are more in tune with things to do with coordination, things like sports, and I forget the other one. I only remember those ones. I don't know why. But there's a study. Yeah, maybe I'll pin a link to it in the comments. But yeah, fundamentally, on a biological level, our brains are different, and that's why we perceive the world in different ways. So when the woman is complaining that the guy is not understanding me, things like that,
Yeah.
usually it's a lack of understanding of how the man operates, of how men in general operate. And when the guy also complains, it's the same thing. Like, you don't understand why she's feeling the way she's feeling, or why she's saying these things to you. So you have to put in the effort to understand, first of all, your own nature, and then the other person's nature. Then I have a very hard time saying this word, but I have to slow down to say it. Relationship. When I'm speaking and I'm flowing, then I reach the paper, I have to say it. I'm like, I'm going to farm for this word. So I have to slow down, then say it. Yeah, so in order for you to have a very smooth relationship, you have to make it an effort to understand your nature and then the woman's nature.
Yeah, but I think, like I think all relationships, you need to first understand firstly you,
Yes, sir.
and then also understand the other person. But I think also most importantly, when you are like when you're trying to like have a conversation with your partner, I think it's don't make it about you. Like it should be about the actual thing. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it shouldn't be about me, the woman, or you, the man, but about the actual issue that is there. Because I think maybe sometimes people they're like, okay, I told him this, but then you're like, there's so much. Of course, it's okay to feel everything that you feel, but then also you need to know that, okay, in all these things that we are feeling, the actual problem is this. So even the man, when they tell you the actual problem, it's not like they're trying to bruise your ego. Because sometimes when you tell a man what the problem is, he may think you're attacking his ego. No, like we are trying to like put what the actual problem is, and then we need to deal with that.
But usually, by the time the woman comes to tell you, like overtly, straight, like this is actually what the problem is, like she has exhausted all other options, and her default, okay, this is now I'm generalizing, that the women's default is to speak covertly, like they are passive about how they communicate. They don't go and tell you straight away facts like this is this, and this is that. They try to find ways to okuchisa or somewhere.
Sandwich it. I think their fear is your ego. So they need to sandwich it in a way that bruising ego yomsaja. Because I know men are very, when you if you say something bluntly, they'll be like, how could she say that? But then now you need to dance like massage the guy's ego properly, point odisi. And yet sometimes in so doing, osanganga naeta kutegedde.
There's one time when this was our first date and we were going to the venue. So I'm driving, then she tells me, she asks, are you thirsty? And I just knew she's thirsty because I was not thirsty. And me telling her I'm not thirsty, I just found the nearest supermarket I parked, I got water, and then she drank the water. So she didn't want to tell me that I am thirsty, I need some water. Find ways of
or alternatively, she didn't. That people who are like, I feel bad eating while the other person isn't eating. So maybe she genuinely asked if you're thirsty. She said, as she gets her drink, she can also get you one. Thoughtfully.
Maybe, but yeah, that's me understanding that talking nakugamba straight away. So you need to read between the lines of whatever she's saying.
Would you want a woman to tell you bluntly, like, Chino?
No.
I tell why.
Because then that would be like saying I don't understand her, because I know she doesn't want to come out and tell it to my face straight that this is what is wrong, something like that. So I'd much rather I be able to read whatever she's saying. So to pick up on those, what are they called? Hints?
From the cues.
Yeah, those cues.
But you see, no, some guys, maybe for you, you're one in a million. There are guys who complain and they're like, but she didn't tell me what she wanted. I'm not a mind reader. So how do you speak into that now?
And now that's the guy thinking that the woman thinks the way he thinks. Because man to man is like, which, like we are very direct with each other.
Yeah.
But when you're operating with the woman, you have to put yourself in her shoes and imagine. But it also goes same.
Yeah,
it goes both ways with the woman. Like,
yeah. No, you get the yeah. It's very nice, I said, when you put yourself in the other person's shoes and you try to understand. Actually, oftentimes, maybe the nature of my work also but you want to try and understand where this person is coming from before you write them off complete and be like, you know what? That is drama. He's just having this big ego that he needs to protect. So I think before you write it off, try to explore the various options or that way. Maybe there's some, they just don't know how to communicate. There are also women who say, this guy, like he doesn't listen to me. Do you think sometimes those men are just headstrong or they genuinely don't understand? Or I don't know.
Generally, men don't understand. Like we don't have first of all the patience to try and figure out what this lady is trying to say to me. So we like our I was going to say our dish served cold, but I don't think that's the right one. Like we want facts, like chogirenga wechidi kati when you task the man to try and figure out whatever the woman is trying to say. First of all, tagenda chikola, because we are not trained to be that in tune with the woman. And I was going to blame someone else, but
do you think there are things that actually stop people from having that understanding to be able to communicate properly, like barriers or
past trauma?
Yeah.
That's the big one I have.
I think even upbringing, because I remember one time, like at work, we usually do like CME. Okay, like those. How do I call them? Okay, we call them CMEs. They're like mini briefs whereby they come and teach you about something, mostly how to handle clients, because muna clients are your bosses, which is so in case their client is big, overly entitled and funny, you just need to communicate well. And I remember one of the ladies quoted something from some article, I forgot it, I think it was some Kansas paper about communication, and they were like, sometimes people speak based off where they grew up from. Like if you find that you grew up in a home whereby maybe your parents, the way they used to talk, they used to just shout, speak on top of their voice. So you find that even that like unconsciously follows you. And so when I thought deeply about it, there are things I used to observe and I'm like, okay, now I can understand why this is happening. So I think even that could also contribute, because if someone has grown up in a home whereby they just shout at each other, I don't think that person will be able to speak. Like when their mother is angry, she just lashes out at the father. So even this lady, when they grow up, they'll just lash out.
They'll carry the same traits to their own relationships. Then it will be up to the man if they want to really break this curse, to train themselves
to
how to
train.
properly communicate.
But I think you can always relearn, like unlearn what you knew, which is usually a bit hard, especially if you're older, but you can try unlearn and then relearn something new that actually adds value to you as a person, but also the relationship.
Yeah.
Communication. Communication. There's something I wanted to say when I was talking to even vanished. I think if I remember it, I'll say it. Oh, why do people become like those things that, how about these things of like being defensive or overly critical? Don't you think they're also barriers? Or dismissive? What? You're trying to tell someone and they just dismiss you off. Because like someone the lady has a point, but then they're just trying to push it away, thinking she's just being, dramatic or something. I think even those could be some issues. Now, there's this couple, they're having issues, The woman is trying to put across her point, and then the man probably is being dismissive and all those things. Then he just goes silent. How would you speak into silent treatment? Do you think it's a good thing or?
I think it's very childish. If something is really, really wrong and you need to talk, then now you have to be, the word has gone, let me just say intuitive. You have to be intuitive to realize that saying, if you really need to talk to your husband or your boyfriend, and you realize saying something like, we need to talk is going to put his guard up, then you have to find ways of telling him you need to talk, but not by telling him you need to talk.
Like this woman has told him probably what the problem is, but then now he's just silent about it. Like he's just silent.
The guy is
very silent, and then you just don't know what to make of that whole entire silence. Because me personally, I don't like silent treatment. At least you'd rather tell me, you know what, babe, right now it's not the right time for me to maybe handle this. Can we talk about it later? Or tell me some other, like give me something to work with than you just being silent. Or just tell me I need some time. I'm very angry. I need to cool off or something. But just don't go silent on me. Because for me, first of all, I fear being in the dark. I do not want to fill my mind with all these ideas and,
I think that would be the right way to go about it. Like telling the girl you're not in that mental space to deal with whatever she has put up. And usually maybe sometimes like the guy could be within his right to not say anything. Maybe the woman is just being
No, you tell me, you know what, babe? I do not want to talk about it right now. So that even by the time you come to talk about it with me, or not to visit it, at least I'll be like, okay, he told me.
But what if she pesters and she's like, why?
Of course, which is going to be the thing of why. But like I said, for me, I think just understand who your person is. Give them something. Sometimes we're like babies. A child will ask you in a bigger version. Like we shall ask you why. But I think also, like for instance, me, if you told me you're not in the right headspace, give me a timeline. The challenge is sometimes someone is not willing to work within your timeline, which is also hard, like also difficult to like pester someone for a timeline. But at least if they could say something like, okay, not right now, but you shall have this conversation, I think it would be nice for me.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being silent, because man, me silent treatment just when pisses me off the more. Just know I hate using that word, but I'll be very dramatic about it. Like, why are you silent? Me, first of all, I love to talk. I want to just you all my things. So you think I'm going to be there dying with my conversations that I want to put out there? No. So just tell me, and we figure that out.
Yeah. If it's a genuine problem and you're not ready, you can just tell her, maybe we shall talk about this later in the evening or on this day. So you let her know that it's going to be addressed, but not right now.
Okay. Are there any challenges you've experienced as in communication in regards to relationships?
Yeah, but this was before I, quote unquote, understood women. Yeah, but once I understood them, I was like, I never had any more issues. Yeah, so I don't have any issues with communication.
Do you think women are dramatic?
Yeah, they are, but that's not a bad thing. Like, would you rather the man be the one who is dramatic?
Mine. I have actually met dramatic men whereby you're supposed to be the woman, like you're supposed to be the guy, man. It's so exhausting. It's very exhausting. But I think having experienced that, that is where I learned to like, you know what? I need to use more of my logical brain because a dramatic man is a piece of work. Is a piece of work. It's like I need to like first bring you back, befriend you again. Like it's like as if I'm trying this little child that I'm trying to give sweets to just come back to me and then we can have some proper conversations. It's too much work. But why would there be drama really? Why would we be having drama?
No, like it's a very natural tendency for women to have.
Good drama, yes. Bad drama.
Drama is drama. I don't think it's bad or good. It's just there. And if it's not there, they will try to create it. So yeah, they need the drama. They need those ups and downs. So the women don't like perfect things, even though they say they do, but they don't. So if you don't give them the drama, they'll find
To a
ways.
small degree. There should be some bit of drama, you know.
To a
The
small
drama by
degree.
the spices things up, but I do not want
Not
ugly
every-
drama.
uh,
No, like I don't want ugly drama, but
Yeah.
a little bit of drama, just spices. You know, there are people who make up whose love is strengthened through drama.
What? For
I
the
have-
woman, not for the woman, not for the man.
No, okay. I have this. I have some relatives of mine. This girl, like, she's like, hey, I don't like men who beat women, bitchy, like all those things. But the funny thing is that the way her and the husband love each other is through beating each other. Like
They
she'll be
beat
like,
each other?
like they literally fight, and when they
Oh.
fight, now they are happy couple, and then tomorrow you hear they fought. Like the babe could call the guy because the guy loves to drink. He stays up, like stays out in the bar like up to 3-4. So when she calls the guy's phone and he's not picking, when eventually the guy picks, he's like, I'm in this place, you come. She's like, no. So when the guy reaches home, like they just bounce on each other. So I fail to understand them, but I realize maybe they enjoy it like that. So, and they've been married 12 years now.
Yeah, because now for a relationship that's long, I think they kind of understood that to spice things up, they need that kind
Yeah,
of.
because initially I used to be like, oh my God, Julie, blah, blah, blah. So that's where I stopped advising couples. Like, then she's like, yeah, I need to leave. But then the next minute you hear is she's pregnant, having babies, and then they're happy again, you know? They show face, and yes, I gave up. I gave up. Although beating women is not good.
Unless
And
it's in the
beating men
bedroom.
as well. Gender violence is
Unless
good.
it's in the bedroom.
In the bedroom. Oh, like 50 Shades.
In the bedroom, anything goes.
Okay. Like 50 Shades, maybe.
Women love that book. I I was at campus some time back. Then I saw all 3 books. Then I was like, how much are these books? The guy told me 50,000. I had 100K in my pocket. So I got all 3.
Yeah.
That's how soma. Like they were just there on the shelf.
Oh my God, they're nice. Bana won't pay you.
So some girl came and took them.
But they're nice. The books are nice. Even the movies are really nice. I liked.
I think it's because I had watched the movies, so I could not read the books.
No. Okay. Oh, okay. Conflicts. Anti-communication is the cause of everything.
I don't think it is. I think it's incongruency. Like people saying things they don't mean and doing things they don't mean. Yeah, so that incongruency, I think, usually is the spark that leads to all kinds of conflicts.
Don't you think communication also contributes to a certain degree?
Auntie, words are kind of empty if you don't back them up with actions. So maybe what I'm getting at is, say you're dating this guy and he is showing you something else, but then akugamba bilala. Like when you're talking, akugamba maybe some sweet, nice things, but his actions are actually demonstrating something else.
Yeah.
So there's that mismatch. So of course now the girl is going to be like, this guy ngasimutegea, like she's going to maybe lash out or I don't know, something like that. But if your words align with your actions, then there's really no way you can have any conflict because kugamba byankola, like so.
But sometimes in relationships, conflicts are inevitable. They will not even be in maybe it's a goal. I'm just giving an example. It's a goal. You guys agreed. You were in agreement of this one will pass to go to see. Then while the guy is out there, someone dwindles a very lucrative deal, and then he's like, without even thinking of it, consulting with mommy at home, jumps on it.
Consulting, why would you need to consult with your wife or your girlfriend?
Oh my goodness, like you need to, because when two people come together, everything you do affects both of you, you know. Because this deal could be impacting your finances like badly that the family or the relationship will not survive. So you need to think through it. At least nemu brainstorming and find like a compromising ground or agree or something. Not to disagree, but you compromise on something. Kati ya uniwava wolutal whereby people fight and it's a cycle of fights and fights and fights and fights.
I think such conflicts result from either both the partners not understanding each other, like the natures, your own natures, or it's this conditioning that you are being fed in today's society. Because I believe when a man and woman can come together, the man has to lead this relationship.
Yes, which is
He's the one who's going to steer the ship. So things like consulting the wife so you can make decisions like that cannot happen or should not happen.
serve your waka.
By your auntie, I'm trying to make all these problems, all these communication problems and all these conflicts arise because men don't understand their women and women don't understand their men. And by that, we are going to use the example of the man going and getting the other lucrative deal. Like if the man thinks this deal is going to benefit the both of us, then it's fine for him to just go ahead and seal the deal.
Now the deal benefits you, but it has those hidden things that are going to impact the family greatly. Anyway, but I still think, as much as I believe in I believe in a man's headship. I want him to lead. That authority is great. I strongly believe in it. But I still believe, as long as we are a man and woman, I should also be in that no. So God forbid, if something happened to you in that deal, or that deal flopped and it affected us badly, at least both of us would like, be in the no. But then here you are at home, and then you're just getting the shock of your life. Like we've seen families whereby men have engaged in deals, probably even given away their home property and all those things, and the woman wakes up one day, and then there are these guys who are coming to be like, you know what,
to
get
claim.
out of the house. I think the woman still needs to know.
Okay, yeah. In that context, the woman needs to know, but
Yeah.
she shouldn't be the one influencing. Okay, not influencing. She shouldn't be the one having the final say on.
She may not have the final say, but even her wisdom could help you, guide you better. But even if she did tell you, Naomi Mwami, Diru, let us leave it because it's going to impact us 1, 2, 3. You as a man, if you think maybe she's not right, just share your facts and also give her a plan. Because I think I know us women, we want a plan. Like, what's the plan? Okay, to Kiriza, I have let you engage in that deal. What is the plan? What is our plan A, B, and C? I think that would be nice. Nay, this man has no plan A, has no plan B, C, or whatever plan. But he's only looking at, the deal is lucrative and we need to get it.
Okay, yeah, I see your point. So in that case, he has to make his perspective known. Like you take the wife through how you see maybe this deal benefiting you. You address the risks that are going to impact you. Yeah, I think that would ease her mind, her knowing your perspective on how you view this entire thing. Yeah, I'll maybe then she'll be very able to blame you for when it fails. Like, I told you so, and those.
But I don't think I told you so is a good thing to say. Even if, of course, most of the times you feel like you want to say, but I think it's not a good thing to say. And it's just my thought, like someone be like, okay. So how do you think people, like couples, should resolve their conflicts? Or before we go to conflict resolution, how should couples fight? Let us say now there's an actual conflict.
How should couples fight?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now for you don't have conflicts at home, which is very wonderful. Now we are speaking generally. And then for me, I'll speak in my relationship. How would I fight?
Actually, we have fought. Okay, we haven't like.
Not
fought,
physical,
like,
yeah.
Not even like verbal fighting, but there's been some.
Of course, when there's like a misunderstanding,
Yeah.
okay, people just use the big word of fighting, but a misunderstanding or something.
Yeah, so we've had like 2 very big misunderstandings in the course of like 4 years now. So, what was the question again? How would you fight? Like in that context? How would you fight?
Like the relationships where there's a conflict. Okay, like there's something you've misunderstood each other, like there's that misunderstanding, and then whereby now you are clashing, but how would you clash as a couple?
How would you clash? Wait. How would you clash, or
how would you fight? No, we are first doing the fighting. How do couples fight? How should they fight? Should they name call each other, abuse each other? Like,
Okay, first of all, they should not be fighting.
Of course, in the ideal situation, but reality is a bit different. Conflict is a bit inevitable. So when in the event that conflict has arose, people are going to definitely have that back and forth.
I don't think I should advise people on how they should fight. Move out. No, that's now resolution. How they should fight.
Because now, remember, we are communicating. Because the thing is, we are doing communication. So in your communication with that guy, now there's a conflict. For instance, I'll say if me and my guy, we got an issue, most of the times I'll be like, first of all, I would be like, you know what? There's something that happened, but when you have time, I would want us to go through this, So depending on how he responds is how I respond next, because I don't know how you're going to respond. But if it's like heated, I'll come and tell you, you know what? I'm not happy. Yeah. at least now for me there is a starting ground for you to be like, now it's ask me maybe questions or explore. But I'll tell you I'm not happy. If I'm like the happy part, like because me, I'm usually bubbly and smiling and all those things, you definitely see it on my face that I'm not happy. Like I'll tell you, I'm not happy, I'm not happy, I'm not happy. Like I'll say it many times. So you as a guy, you'll be like, okay, now what is it that is bothering us? Then we can talk about it. Now the people who fight and they're like, you're a very stupid woman, or you're a very stupid man. So for you, how would you go in case there was a misunderstanding? Like you said, you've had like two big misunderstandings. How did you approach the situation? Do you just abuse each other through and through?
No abuse. I try as much as possible not to use any words at the
Yeah.
moment, and I leverage my silence. So usually I just keep quiet. I let my emotions cool down until I know the exact words to say. Then I'll come in my calmness and tell you, like something like that.
So in the event that now there's a party that will not be calm, because usually many things happen when there are arguments or it's, those misunderstandings amongst couples. There are those who someone comes, they're making noise and all that. So even you be triggered, like not consciously, but unconsciously, if you be triggered. So how would someone navigate that?
Space. Find ways to exit the situation. Yeah, because the other person will come with their emotions, they will trigger you, and then you also like elevate the situation and just add fuel to the fire, and you will both end up saying things you would rather not
say.
say.
I've been hearing people who say, Wanage, for us, we have a date night where they go and then talk about their issues. But I think it's a good thing to like set time to, because sometimes you might find that timing is wrong. For instance, there was a time when I needed to, it wasn't a misunderstanding, but it was like those topics that would potentially cause a mismatch between us. I remember struggling to put my words together for 2 weeks. This person was away. And then as soon as they returned, they had like a busy schedule. And I knew they had meetings, they had presentations and all those things. And as a man, like me envisioning him as a man, I didn't know how exactly when I would have to tell him whatever I needed to tell him. So I had to wait now 2 weeks. But 2 weeks I was really dying to like address this thing, but then I couldn't. And even when I did try to bring it out, like I remember struggling and asking, what are you doing today in the afternoon? How is your schedule? Because I didn't want to offload on someone who's going to probably do a presentation and then the entire time they're disorganized because of some prior information they got. So I think that's why I agree with those people who say we set some time aside to like go and talk about things. Because even me now, imagine 2 weeks I was struggling with this heavy thing that I needed to deal with, but then I just couldn't because I was seeing how packed there and knowing the kind of person this person was, I knew in case I gave them this kind of information or this issue, it was going to affect them. And indeed, even as much as I tried to like look at that day, the schedule was a bit off, only one meeting, but even then they text me and they're like, thank you for the way you gave me the information, but I'm distracted. You get, they were still distracted. And then now we had to find like an actual day in the following week, which was now the third week, to address the thing of like 3 weeks ago. So it was a bit, so the timing, I think setting aside the time is good, but then sometimes, now imagine me the entire 3 weeks, I was a whole,
It was eating you up.
yeah. So date night is where we were. So do you believe in those guys who set a time? Or you guys, whenever that matter arises, you just...
Well, if it's very serious, then if it needs to be addressed there and then, I address it there and then. But then there are those that require you first maybe both cool down and you come back at it later. Then there are those you just have to ignore, like...
Hey, but women, like ladies, for me personally, I don't like to be ignored.
Yeah, but there are some issues that I don't have those issues, but there are some that there are some I ignore, or even though I don't have them, we just start in my mind. But there are some unless it's like very serious that we actually need to sit down and talk about this. Then we'll sit down and talk about it. But there are some that I don't let it affect me.
How about if it's you who's angry and someone has done something and she has done something that really has ticked you now?
If it's very serious, I'll tell her. I'll find ways of telling her. Either that same day or whenever she's available, then I'll tell her. But I won't let it drag on for so long. Yeah, I'll try to address it because it's going to affect how I'm going to treat her henceforth.
Yeah.
So I'll try to address it as quickly as possible. But I rarely get those things. I rarely get triggered.
Man, your trigger threshold is very big.
No, I think it's also another factor is the people you associate with. So the partner you choose, the girl you choose, the man you choose. Red flags. They are those things that you see early, but then you ignore. Then they later come to bite you. Then after a few years or months, but you could have solved this issue the very first time you saw it, but you chose to ignore it. So yeah, there are those early dating signs that you might have to address before they become big issues later in the future. So I maybe because I did that, maybe that's why. Because if I had seen that she's going to be a very troublesome woman, I would not I would have cut it off early. Be like, oh no, I'm gonna consume like, oh no, muta. But then men usually are very scarcity minded. It's very hard for a man to get rid of a woman, guafune, usually because like we live in drought. Like we don't have that abundance mindset when it comes to women. Usually we take the first girl that crosses our paths. Hey, the first girl that kisses you, like, hey, or no, you want things like that. So
The way guys can be saying, "Oh my god, I'm picky. I take my time." That's how I thought.
auntie, those are the men you see. Those are the men you deal with.
Yeah.
Men who have options. But then, like from a man's perspective, like the average man does not have options. So usually they will try to ignore all those red flags. And then later they'll come and listen to this podcast about how to address communication issues.
Yeah.
But these are issues you would have addressed very early on in those early dating stages.
True. As we try to like wind up, what have you picked from this conversation that you could be like, today, as much as I do not have, I don't get communication issues, but yeah, I think this would be like my takeaway or, yeah.
I only have one takeaway. One takeaway would be, never believe what women say. Believe what they do. Yeah, because women will say all kinds of things, but then they'll act a different way. So you always believe what she does, never what she says.
Yeah, because in that moment, it's what I'm feeling. So I'm speaking into my emotions, my feelings, and all those things, which is a good thing because that's like your outlet that's your way of letting out. Then later on, you're like, okay, maybe here I overdid it. Maybe here, he did something. And then you can always go back and talk to him. Well, for me, I think what I would say is communication is not perfect. It breaks down. There will be screwing up, but you need to show up and repair it. Like, don't get tired of mending the bridge, especially like this person that you're with. Like human beings, we are very different. Maybe try to understand the person, their upbringing. Before you rate the relationship off, try to understand them, where they're coming from, as a man, as a woman. And for women, it's okay to feel the emotions, but then also we need to think through. Thinking through is not just the relationship. Like thinking through takes you through very many aspects of life. So it's a good thing to feel emotions, I strongly believe, because there's a way you offload certain things, but then also to think through and just be logical, not focusing on your feelings or their feelings, but the actual problem. Yeah, so I think for me that would be it. It's not perfect. It screws up, but show up, prepare it. Yeah.
Maybe I would leave the audience with this, like, try to be congruent with your actions. Try to do things you actually mean, and not just say things because maybe they will please the woman in the moment, and then along the way you like do something else from what you said, like Mugambe, what you feel inside, like this is what I feel, like this is me. So don't say one thing and then do
Like
the
the
other.
other, yeah.
So yeah, be congruent with your words and actions. And usually that, okay, according to my experience, that solves so many communication issues, because there won't be that mixed signals thing. Like you will be telling someone exactly what you're going to do. So
Yeah. That's a nice thing. Feels like leading people on, but don't lead people on. Yeah, I think that is very good. So today, that is it from us, the Unfiltered Truths. Oh, before we forget, today is Good Friday. To my fellow Christians, including you, by the way.
I'm not a Christian. I was raised Christian. I was raised by Christian
Yeah, I'm
parents, but I'm
including
not a
in my
Christian.
Christianities anyway. Today is Good Friday. Please go have fun, enjoy, pray. I don't know, do all those fun activities and enjoy the Easter festive season. As you're enjoying the Easter festive season, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment, share. Don't drink and drive. Be responsible as you enjoy the Easter season.
We hope you survived festivities.
They must survive as festivities. Yeah. Once again, like, subscribe, and thank you for loving us. See you until then. See you next time. Oh, next episode is going to be epic. Story time from us to you.